Oh yeah. 97.3. Come on. Let's go.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue.
Flex. Buckle up and join the best. Let's see, relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays happening live. Where we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the Traffic Avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the Traffic Avenue.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. City News on 97.3 FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
City News. It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umaru Sanda Amadou, and tonight I'm here with
Hawa Idrisu Mustafa.
And coming up over the next 90 minutes.
I hear the Attorney General is saying that he wants to litigate on this matter. Mr. Speaker, we assure him that he will be further disgraced.
Minority NDC MPs jubilate and celebrate the victory of their leader, Keselato Forcing. Well, if you haven't heard, the Court of Appeal has acquitted and discharged the former Deputy Finance Minister. But the AG says he will appeal the decision he describes as grossly unfair. The AG is joining us here on Eyewitness News tonight for dinner. Also coming up, residents of La hit the streets to demonstrate against what they describe as a thievery of state lands by the political class. And later on Eyewitness News, private legal practitioner Justice Abdullah heads to the Supreme Court to challenge President Akufo-Addo's appointment of a Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of operations. We'll be telling you more on what he plans to do. And in business,
government assures investors of stable tax environment to boost growth. We hear from Deputy Finance Minister in charge of revenue.
That's from Business Desk in 50 minutes from now. And later on Point Blank.
Choboy, do you know that the biggest threat to our democracy is corruption? It is not what we are seeing happening around us in the other countries. It is corruption.
Well, we are still talking about what happened in Tamale over the weekend, where the NDC paraded a number of its officers to attack the government's record, declaring the launch of the NDC's campaign for election 2024. One of the key highlights is the unveiling and the introduction of Shamima Muslim, who used to host this particular show, Eyewitness News. Tonight, she's returning on this show as a guest representing the National Democratic Congress. We'll be asking her why she chose the path she has chosen. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. We are live across Ghana on a number of affiliate stations, including Tungsun 97.3 FM in Wa, Jirapa FM 96.1 FM in Jirapa. We are also on Tanga 93.7 FM in Bolgatanga. We are in Bimbila on Radio Bimbila 91.9 FM. In the Volta region, we are on Revival 99.3 FM. In Tajevu, we are in Kumasi on Focus 94.3 FM and Orange 107.9 FM. We are also in Gosu on Hames Radio 106.5 FM. We are in the Sunyani area also on Greener 95.9 FM. In Takrady, we are live on Beach 105.5 FM and Sky Power 93.5 FM. We are live on YouTube. Look for Citi FM and listen to the show. We are live on Facebook. You get to see what we are doing in the studio and also comment. You can send your messages to 0549 986 996. That's the WhatsApp number, 0549 986 996. And you can join us with those messages, 0549 986 996, and the world will get to hear what you think. Let's start with the Court of Appeal now, which has thrown away a case that was in the High Court, which case generated lots of controversy. There's a trial of Dr. Kesela Toforson and Richard Jakpa. The two persons have been standing trial over their role in the importation of some ambulances into the country somewhere in 2014. The state had believed that they caused financial loss to the state and wanted the state to punish them, or the courts to punish them. Now, while that was happening in the High Court, there was another motion in the Court of Appeal, which verdict landed today, destabilizing the case at the High Court. Howard has a summary of the story.
Now, Deputy Attorney General Dinah Asunaba Dapar says the decision of the Court of Appeal on the ambulance case should end the unfair attacks on the judiciary. The Court of Appeal this morning overturned the High Court's order for Dr. Atoforson to open his defense in the ambulance case. In a 2-1 majority decision, Justices Akabuafo and Bright Mensah granted the request, acquitting and discharging the accused, while Justice Opoku Echampon dissented. So we'll be hearing the reactions from the Attorney General's department, but in the House of Parliament, after the announcement was made that the Court of Appeal had actually thrown out that case that has been brought against the two persons, the members of Parliament on the NDC side wore white to celebrate the victory of their leader, whose trial has led to a lot of controversial decisions like walkouts and also abandonment of the chamber in some instances in solidarity with their leader who is standing trial. So a number of them spoke today. Key amongst them, immediate past minority leader and MP for Tamale South, Haruna Idrisu. Let's listen to them.
I hear the Attorney General, even instead of swallowing his humble pride, is saying that he wants to litigate on this matter. Mr. Speaker, we assure him that he will be further disgraced, because this matter, if you want to try people, try them on matters which are legally meritorious. Letters of credit are mere guarantees. I can go into the matter. This is parliamentary chamber. So, Mr. Speaker, the minority here is celebrating the independent, courageous decision of the Court of Appeal in acquitting the minority leader. That should be celebrated. That in the realm of separation of powers, at least one of the arms of government have stood up to a calling today that they are independent and courageous and will not be used as forum for the persecution of his political opponents.
So that's former minority leader and MP for Tamale South. He also served as Minister for Communications and Trade, Haruna Idrisu, speaking there. When he finished speaking, much to the jubilation of his side, the majority leader and MP for Ifutu, Alexander Apenyo-Markin, said the political class must be consistent in its celebration of the judiciary and urged the House to refrain from accusing the executive arm of government of controlling the judiciary. Let's listen to him.
It's a day to celebrate the judiciary. Yes, Mr. Speaker. Except that, Mr. Speaker, we have to be very consistent as a political class in our celebration of the judiciary. Mr. Speaker, I agree with the position taken by the Honorable Haruna Idrisu. No executive arm of government can manipulate the judiciary arm of the realm. Mr. Speaker, it must never be said that the judiciary is under the control of the executive.
So that's Majority Leader and MP for Futu Alexander Penyumakin speaking in the chamber. Now, after the decision of the Court of Appeal, the two persons effectively have no case to answer to the state and were supposed to go home as free men. A few minutes later or a few hours later, the Attorney General issued a statement. I'm going to read it for you verbatim. The statement was responding to the case, Republic versus Kesela Tuforsen and two others. And it says, on 30th July 2024, the Court of Appeal, by a split 2-1 decision, allowed an appeal against the ruling of the High Court, Accra, dated 30th March 2023, dismissing a submission of no case filed by the accused person and ordering them to open their defense. The Office of the Attorney General considers the decision of the Court of Appeal to be perverse in the quest for public accountability and the rule of law. The decision is, it says, the decision clearly is heavily against the weight of the cogent evidence led by the prosecution in substantiation of all charges against the accused persons at the trial. The relevant facts of the matter, as borne out by the undisputed evidence led so far, show that 1. Vehicles purporting to be ambulances were imported into the country in December 2014 in violation of the contract governing the transaction. 2. The then Minister for Health, Ms. Sherry Ayiti, had cautioned in writing against the importation of the vehicles into the country. There was thus no request by the Ministry of Health for the vehicles to be imported into the country or for the letters of credit, which were the means of payment for the vehicles under the contract, to be established. 3. With no request from the Ministry of Health or any authorization whatsoever, and at a time that the period for supply of the ambulances under the contract had even lapsed, the first accused, Kesela Tuforsen, by letters dated 7th and 14th August 2014, instructed the Bank of Ghana and the Comptroller and Accountant General to issue letters of credit for the payment for the vehicles. 4. The letters of credit were consequently established on 18th August 2014. Big C General Trading LLC, the suppliers of the vehicles based in Dubai, whose contract had no parliamentary approval, proceeded to ship the vehicles on receipt of the letters of credit. When the vehicles arrived, they were not of the kind specified in the contract. Further, apart from the absence of basic parts and equipment required for an ambulance, the National Ambulance Service and the Ministry of Health noted serious defects with every material part of the vehicles. Such was the fundamental nature of the defects that a former Minister for Health, Dr. Alex Segbefia, described the vehicles as ordinary vans, not fit for purpose. In point of fact, a report on the vehicles by the authorized dealers in Mercedes-Benz, commissioned by the Ministry of Health in 2015 to assess the vehicles tendered in evidence by the prosecution, stated that the vehicles could never be converted into ambulances. The defects were so irremediable that from the time the vehicles started arriving in December 2014 up to January 2017, when the Eswa John Mahama administration left office, they could not be converted into ambulances. The Office of the Attorney General considers the decision of the Court of Appeal grossly unfair to the nation and inimical to the fight against impunity and abuse in public office. The office will promptly file an appeal in order to erase the effect of this erroneous decision of the Court of Appeal, and is signed by Godfred Yeboah Dami, the Attorney General and Minister of State, Minister of Justice. Now, this is a statement that he issued. Subsequent to that, his deputy, or one of his two deputies, Madam Deputy Attorney General Diana Asunaba Dapa, spoke to the Citi News reporter in the courts, Hansi Najiman. And this is what she said, to summarize for you in her voice what her boss had issued earlier on a statement.
Clearly surprising. I think the reaction of the Office of the Attorney General has been succinctly expressed in the press release that has just come out. and signed by the Honorable Attorney General and Minister for Justice. Of course, by our learning and our training, we are trained to accept decisions, but also without prejudice to expressing our dissatisfaction with any decision within the context of decorum and respect. So while we respectfully taking the decision of the Court of Appeal, it is without prejudice to our unambiguous dissatisfaction of the decision, in the sense that we find it as perverse to the fight against impunity and abuse of public offices. So with respect, while we accept the decision, we also unambiguously express our dissatisfaction, and also that is why it is the position of this honorable office that we shall appeal the decision at the Supreme Court.
And this appeal, have the processes begun already?
Yes, the processes are ongoing. As you know, the decision was given in about barely 2 hours ago. We're working strenuously. We're working on the judgment, and then very soon we'll come up with the appeal and the grounds for which we appeal. Of course, having studied back to back what informed the decision of the Honorable Court.
But some may ask, why won't you let matters lie low? Because this is a case a lot of people have even been calling on the Office of the Attorney General to let go. If the Court of Appeal have made a decision, why don't you just allow it to remain so?
Sadly, the Office of the Attorney General does not base its decision or exercises prosecutorial powers and duties based on the opinion of people, but of course based on the evidence that we have and that we present to the court. I think the position of the office has always been clear, even at the trial court, that there is indeed a case that has been made, and therefore it is required of the defendants to open their defense. Of course, it is not unexpected that people have divergent views that we should let this go. But of course, we should be able to satisfy ourselves that we have carried out the mandates of the good people of Ghana by exploring all the avenues to ensure that justice is served. Of course, there may be divergent views upon that, but we feel that the position we have, the evidence, the cogent evidence that we presented, we have always held on to present a case for the defense to continue to open their defense and have finality to this matter at the High Court, at the highest court, which is the Supreme Court.
Does it bother the Office of the Attorney General that this is coming at a time when the judiciary is about to embark on a legal vacation, and that means that between now and the end of September, no active work may be done by the Supreme Court?
The court also deserves to have their own rest during the legal vacation. Doesn't mean that it curtails or scuttles any working of the judicial system. We believe in the system, and I'm glad that, again, this decision is an opportunity for us to refrain from the scathing attacks that some groups of people have presented at the judiciary. You know, they deserve the rest, and of course they will resume when they come back from the legal vacation, and the matter will take its course. So it is not that much of a bother. I mean, the courts are not closed, and we will continue with this case either way.
For those who are seeing this as a vindication of Arthur Forson, they may be in the right.
I do not think so. By my learning and my training as a lawyer, it is not unexpected or it is not unusual that a case may go either way, for the prosecution or against the prosecution, for the plaintiff, and particularly at the Court of Appeal. I am not moved in terms of seeing this as a victory, because clearly the Court of Appeal is not the final court of the Republic. And so I will be very slow in rejoicing on the decision that have come. And so I don't see it as a victory. But of course, there is the avenue to appeal this decision at the highest court of the land, which is the Supreme Court, and which we intend to do.
What do you make of those who say that the decision of the Court of Appeal affirms the perceptions that people had that the Office of the Attorney General ought not to have even prosecuted this matter in the first place?
Again, it is quite preemptive, and it is quite wrong to assume that position, because then you take the High Court also had a position that there was a case to answer. Of course, we in the legal fraternity, we respect divergent views. Court of Appeal says there's no case that has been made for the defense to open their defense. We haven't heard from the Supreme Court, and so it is quite a biased view to say that because the Court of Appeal disagrees with the Office of the Attorney General, it is then certain as a matter of fact that this prosecution should not have begun in the first place.
Finally, a lot of people who have reacted to this decision appear to be saying very good things about the judiciary. You're going to the Supreme Court. It may go your way or may go against you. But what does this signify with respect to how people sometimes criticize, or for want of better words, attack the judiciary?
I think I'll go with the criticism. I mean, attack is a definite no-no. Of course, it is open to all of us to constructively criticize the judiciary, but we should do that based on fact. And I'm very happy that now certain persons that were attacking the judiciary have had their volte-face position now and are praising the judiciary. And that's the beauty of democracy, that we in the legal fraternity, it will be very unwise of us to think that there cannot be a different position by even different levels of the court. And so it is my hope that with the now turnabout praises that we are giving the judiciary, we'll maintain that whenever even cases go against us. Because clearly, in any given case in court, almost always there's one party that the decision goes in favor and one that it doesn't. And so we should understand, first of all, democracy. We should understand how the judiciary works. And I hope that the fact that a case does not go in our favor means that the judges or the judiciary is a pro-faction or, all sorts of names that we give the judiciary. So for me, the take-home is that at least now there are some praises that are being given to the judiciary. We must do that. We continue to hold the position. We respect the judiciary. We respect the decision of the judiciary. But again, it's without prejudice to the position that we hold, that the decision is erroneous, and we are appealing same at the Supreme Court.
So that's Deputy Attorney General, Minister for Justice, Diana Asunaba Dapa, speaking to Hansen Ajiman, our legal correspondent, who was in court for us today. Now, if you are just arriving into the country, having been flying and not following the news, the big news is that the Court of Appeal has upheld the case of no case, or the submission of no case that Kesela Tuforsin and Richard Jakpa had filed before the Court of Appeal after the High Court dismissed same. Now, the overall effect is that Dr. Kesela Tuforsin and Richard Jakpa are free men today. In that ambulance case, the NDC side in Parliament has been celebrating. And this means that the High Court trial that was ongoing has since been aborted. Sami Jimfi leads the communication wing of the National Democratic Congress, the party whose leader, Kesela Tuforsin, is in the House of Parliament. He's joined us on the line. Sir, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Thanks for having me, Sander.
You're both a communicator for your party, but also a lawyer. Now, from the legal side of things, for those who may not have understood why we've been reporting from the High Court and suddenly we are saying is a Court of Appeal that has acquitted and discharged your colleague, summarize for us what your legal team decided to do while continuing with the trial at the High Court, for which reason you got a verdict you got today.
Well, Sander, thank you. The position of the law is that in criminal cases, when the state arraigns a person before a court of competent jurisdiction to try him or her for a crime, the state has a responsibility to adduce sufficient evidence to establish the ingredients or the particulars of that charge. So when you look at every charge sheet, there is a statement of offense and there is a particulars of offense. The particulars of offense is basically an explanation of what, in the view of the state or the prosecution, is the conduct of that accused person that constitutes a crime, for which reason they are prosecuting him or her. Now, if by the time the prosecution closes its case, meaning when they are done calling all their witnesses and adducing their evidence, the court or the accused is of the opinion that sufficient evidence has not been adduced to prove the particulars of the offense, that accused person can file an application for no case. Okay, for a submission of no case, which basically means that, look, court, the prosecution has completely wasted your time. There is no case for me to answer because the very case they brought, they have not been able to adduce sufficient evidence to establish the particulars or the ingredients. Now, when that application is made, the court is bound to make a ruling before it orders the accused person to open his or her case. If the court makes a ruling that the prosecution has not made a sufficient case, then the court will say there is no need for you, the accused person, to even open your defense. So the matter is dismissed, accused person acquitted and discharged. If the court forms the opinion that a sufficient case, prima facie case has been made, it will order the accused person to open his or her defense. So that is by way of legal education. In the present case of Dr. Atoforsen, at the end of the prosecution's case, lawyers for Dr. Atoforsen filed an application for submission of no case. And the trial court dismissed it and ordered Dr. Atoforsen to open his defense because the court was of the opinion that the state had adduced sufficient evidence to establish a prima facie case. There was a case to answer. Honorable Mr. Richard Japa also filed an appeal to challenge this. So it is that matter which the Court of Appeal has determined today. You know, when you file an appeal, it doesn't operate as a stay of execution. It doesn't freeze the substantive trial. So the trial has been going on, but that appeal has been pending in the Court of Appeal, which is a higher court than the High Court. And today, lo and behold, the Court of Appeal gave its judgment on the matter. And what some of us have been saying all along, that this case was frivolous, it was baseless, it was nothing but political witch hunt, it was nothing but persecution of the leader of the NDC caucus in Parliament, who has been at the forefront of our struggle against the misrule, the misgovernance, the bad policies of the Kufuor-Bawumia MPP government. And that same was calculated to cower him. We have been vindicated. The Court of Appeal, by a majority decision of 2-1, has held that Dame's case was frivolous. Atoforsen has no case to answer. It was totally wrong for the trial judge to have ordered Atoforsen to open his defense. And so Atoforsen's application for submission of no case has been upheld, and he has been acquitted and discharged, which automatically terminates the matter in the High Court. Unless and until a higher court, in this case the Supreme Court, sets aside the decision of the Court of Appeal. So in summary, this is what has happened, and we are excited because this is victory for the rule of law. The Court of Appeal has demonstrated that indeed they are still, persons of conscience, people who are alive to their fidelity to the Constitution of Ghana, people who who uphold the principles of justice and accountability. What this case shows that we still have such people on the bench. And so all hope is not lost. We are very refreshed and encouraged by this decision. Godfred Dame has been badly exposed for who he really is, a local fixed match merchant. His frivolous and ludicrous case has been exposed as such, and we are excited about it. We thank God and we thank all Ghanaians who spoke out against this clear case of witch hunt and persecution. People like Bryce Simons, Franklin Kujo, Martin Tebu, and all of them, all the lawyers, all the ordinary citizens, the civil society organizations, who in good conscience saw everything wrong with what was going on and spoke against it, took a stand against it. We salute them for their solidarity. This is certainly the way to go. When we come together, there is no way that evil can prevail over the truth. And that is what we have demonstrated in this matter.
Okay. What you describe as justice, victory for the rule of law at all, the Attorney General considers grossly unfair, and he says is inimical to the fight against impunity and abuse of public office. Essentially, it emboldens persons who break the law, he says in that statement. What's your response?
Well, what is unfair and inimical to the nation is for an Attorney General who is supposed to be the leader of the bar and a champion of the rule of law and the ethics of the profession to engage in clear professional misconduct and even criminal conduct just to secure the conviction of a political opponent who he knows to be innocent. You see, that is what is inimical to the national interest. When an Attorney General goes out of his way to engage an accused person who is represented by a lawyer when he knows that the legal profession prohibits him from doing that, and he engages that accused person for the sole purpose of misleading him, goading him, suborning him to implicate an innocent man. There is absolutely nothing wrong with the Court of Appeal decision. I've taken time to study it. And if anybody says that there is something wrong with the decision the Court of Appeal has taken, I dare them to cite it. They should pick the ruling. You see, to further prove the malice of Godfred Dame in this whole matter is the fact that he did not even have the decency and the patience to wait for the ruling of the Court of Appeal before issuing that useless press release. He didn't wait for it. So at the time he was describing the decision as inimical to the national interest, he didn't even have the benefit of the reasoning that went into the Court of Appeal decision. So there's a man who clearly is a sore loser. There's a man who is hell-bent. He is not interested in achieving the ends of justice. He is only interested in oppressing, intimidating, harassing, victimizing political opponents for cheap political goal scoring. And that is why God has exposed him.
Very well.
Today, nobody respects Godfred Dame. He's the worst Attorney General in the history of this country. The first Attorney General to have been cautioned or advised by a trial court to stay away from a matter that he is prosecuted. That is how disgraceful Godfred Dame has been reduced to. And so the castigations is peddling against the Court of Appeal, very unfortunate, but without no basis. Show me. You see, that if you look at the decision, the reasoning of the Court of Appeal is very simple. And let me summarize it for you in 1 minute. The Court of Appeal says, you say Ato Forson has caused financial loss to the state. What did Ato Forson do to cause financial loss to the state? You say all he did was that he wrote a letter to the Bank of Ghana and the Controller and Accountant General for letters of credit to be established for the procurement of the ambulances in question. Then the court said, okay, what is a letter of credit? Your own witnesses, including Ajima Menu, the then Minister of Health, agreed in the witness box that a letter of credit is not payment, but only a guarantee of a promise of payment. And so if a letter of credit is not payment, and all Ato Forson did was to write a letter to the Bank of Ghana for a letter of credit, which is not payment, to be established, then the court says Ato Forson has no cause financial loss to the case. If there is any loss at all, then it should be the officials at the Ministry of Health who had a responsibility to ensure that the conditions in that letters of credit were fulfilled before authorizing payment. Then you should be prosecuting them, not an innocent man.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for speaking to us. That's Amit Jemfi, he's National Communications Officer of the NDC. Let me go on the other line and speak to the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Godfred Ebodame. Counsel, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. I'm not sure I would say congratulations to you because this will be a very major case that you have lost in the court. You have served notice that you are going to appeal. But the question would be, to what end? And Sami Jemfi has just summarized, saying that the Court of Appeal has said there's no case against their friend, their member, so it's a pointless decision for you to proceed further. Kindly share with us why you think this is not over.
I think that first and foremost, it's important to recognize that the Court of Appeal itself was even split in the determination of the question, whether the accused persons had a case to answer. So even though the Court of Appeal itself, they were not clear, but there was no unanimity among them. So clearly the Court of Appeal itself, one of them had a contrary view. And that is actually not the only reason why the decision ought to be appealed against. The decision ought to be appealed against because, for me, it is perverse. It goes contrary to all the established authorities on causing financial loss, and also flies in the face of the solid evidence that was led by the prosecution at the trial. And what evidence am I talking about? I'm talking about, one, the establishment of all the ingredients of causing financial loss. So, one, the establishment of causing financial loss, that the financial loss had been caused in the matter. Two, the establishment of a link between the accused persons and the offense with which they were charged. So the financial loss clearly was established in this manner. Vehicles were imported into the country in December 2014, and the vehicles were supposed to be ambulances. When the vehicles arrived, they were devoid of any equipment that would render them fit for use as ambulance. Apart from that, the vehicles were even contrary to specifications agreed in the contract. The vehicles were also, to show the criminal intention of the accused persons, imported outside the time frame agreed under the contract. So by the time the contract was being performed, the contract had even lapsed, because the contract was signed in December 2012. If you look at the timelines for the performance of the contract, they had 11 months within which to perform the contract. That would take us to when? It's not December 2013. So, and by that time, not even a single ambulance had been imported. By August 2014, when the then Deputy Minister for Finance, Dr. Forson, was writing for the LC to be established and for the vehicles to be imported, the contract had been lapsed. Apart from that, it was even without a request by the Ministry of Health, which was supposed to use the ambulances, because the Minister for Health then, Madam Shariati, had explicitly written to the company, Big C, for them to stop production of the ambulances, because the Ministry of Health did not have any money to establish the LCs. And somehow, without any request at all by any person, without any authorization, Dr. Forson then wrote for the payment for the vehicles. The letters were written on 7th and 12th August 2014. After that, the LCs were established on 18th August 2014. After that, the ambulances were then shipped from Dubai and then arrived in Ghana in December 2014. And it will interest you to note that throughout the remainder of the term of the SOR Mahama administration, they failed to convert the vehicles into ambulances. And that is because, clearly on account of the evidence returned at the trial, which consisted of reports by the Ministry of Health and the National Ambulance Services, the vehicles could not be used for the purpose. They could not be converted into ambulances. Indeed, the Ministry of Health commissioned the authorized dealers of the ambulances. Commissioned the authorized dealers of Mercedes-Benz, which supplied or from which the ambulances, the vehicles were procured, to assess the vehicles. And they made a determination in their report that the vehicles were not fit to be converted into ambulances. And that's because they were contrary to specifications agreed under the contract. It was not just a case where medical equipment had not been fixed into the vehicles, and for that matter, all it required was for the medical equipment to be fixed into the ambulances. Indeed, almost every material part of the vehicles was defective, from the body to the engine to the interior parts and all that. They were contrary to the specifications under the agreement. So clearly, if vehicles have been imported into the country rather than ambulances, and those vehicles cannot be converted into ambulances, they cannot really doubt that the financial loss have been caused. And it is not I, Governor Dami, saying so. In the words of the former Minister for Finance, Dr. Alessebifia, in two letters that...
Former Minister for Health.
Yes, former Minister for Health, sorry. Dr. Alessebifia. In two letters that he himself had written, the vehicles were ordinary vans, which could not be used for the purpose for which they were procured. So that is clearly established.
Okay.
And now the link between the accused persons and the offense is so clear. Without the act of Mr. Attoforsen, which consisted of authorizing payment for the vehicles would not have been imported in the first place. And it was not even pursuant to a request by the Ministry of Health, as I've indicated. If my ministry requires some vehicles to be procured and whatever, I will write with all respect to the Minister for Finance, attaching evidence of the exhaustion of the procurement process and all. And it is a duty of the Minister for Finance to inquire whether indeed there is basis for the payments to be carried out. In this case, without any authorization whatsoever, the Deputy Minister of Finance on his own wrote for the establishment of the letter of credit. And it's not just a matter of establishing LCs, and it is not also, as with all respect, as light as some people would want the public to believe, that LCs are just a guarantee for payments. The LCs themselves were the means of payment agreed under the contract. Indeed, if you look at the agreement, clause 4 of the agreement, it says the vehicles shall be paid for through the establishment of letter of credit, a revocable letter of credit opened in favor of the sellers. And that's exactly what was done in this deal, pursuant to the authorization of the then Deputy Minister of Finance after forcing. Then, of course, the role played by Japan is quite clear. He is the one who introduced the company Big C to the public officers in question at that time. Without Japan's introduction, the government of Ghana would not even have gotten to know Big C. Apart from that, he profited 700,000 euros out of the 2.3 million euros that was paid under the transaction.
Okay.
And what kind of transaction is that? That you pay for vehicles worth 2.3 million euros, and then an agent, a middleman himself, profits from it as in the consumer as much as 700,000 euros. I'm not surprised that they're not able to supply the vehicles or the ambulances that we're supposed to supply.
Mr. Attorney General, the bigger question would be that all the issues we've raised notwithstanding, the Benz buses have been brought into the country. That's one, over a decade ago, if not close to a decade ago. The items that are needed to be fitted in them to complete them as ambulances, as the opposition party has claimed when it was in government at the time, have been imported. The government that you are a member of cleared these items at the port, which is intended to be fitted into these vehicles to make them complete ambulances. As we speak, these buses, we are told, have not been fitted with these items to make them full ambulances. Let me land with a question that you can respond. What? So the question is, if these buses are in the country and they have not been fitted with these items that your government has imported, you on the other side are causing a financial loss to the state as well as a parallel. you are guilty of the same thing you are accusing the previous government of doing.
I think no, I will not. That's why you see. I think that it's a very gross misrepresentation of the facts. Apart from that, it is it just plays the gallery, because I've already told you that the vehicles were imported in December 2014. The material question you ought to ask yourself as a radio presenter, the person hosting such an important program, is how come from December 2014 up to January 2017, the vehicles could not be converted into ambulances? Or how come the equipment that had allegedly been imported could not be fitted?
They said the equipment were imported in your government in 2017.
The government took possession of the vehicles in December 2014. In December by 2015, the vehicles had actually been moved to another location to forecourt to the State House. And indeed, they had actually also been to Dubai to carry out inspection and had agreed on, had prepared a report that they presented to the government of Ghana. And I'm saying that...
When did the accessories come?
The simple answer... Are you listening?
I'm listening, but you see, they said that the accessories came in 2017. Is that true or false?
No, it is false. It is false. That is contrary to the evidence on record. So I think the first is false. I'm saying that apart from that, there's a report by the authorized dealers in Mercedes-Benz received by the SOR Mahama administration in 2015, which was tendered in evidence at the trial. It is part of the exhibits at the trial, which showed that the vehicles could not be converted into ambulances. Clearly, and that's the reason why the vehicles could never be converted, or the equipment could not be fitted, because indeed the wrong specification of vehicles were supplied to start with. A contract is entered into between the government of Ghana and another company, and it is specified that it should supply Ghana government with Mercedes-Benz A309. And then you on your own, without the authorization of the government of Ghana, supplies Mercedes-Benz A311. And then you subsequently say in court that, that is even bigger and better. and that specification cannot be converted into an ambulance. And then you say that subsequently you imported some equipment into the country, and therefore somebody should bear the responsibility of converting it into an ambulance. When indeed he had the opportunity of actually carrying out the exercise for over 2 years before he left office, and he couldn't do so. And I'm saying that's because of this report, which was commissioned by the Ministry of Health and the National Ambulance Service. And it was not a report commissioned by the Kufuor administration. It was a report commissioned by the SOR Mahama administration and tendered in evidence at the trial. So I think the question, Maru, with all respect, you have to ask the people who are founding that theory is, what do they say about that report?
Very well.
How can the vehicles not be converted into ambulance?
I think that just one final question. Okay.
Yes.
Just one final question.
In a case where, for me, this case really highlights a lot of impunity in public service. We are in public service. We're supposed to safeguard the use of the public purse. We're supposed to ensure that our acts are careful and not reckless. And that's the essence of all these financial loss cases. If you look at the financial loss cases, the ingredients of all the offenses is that really a public officer, contrary to the mandate that he is seized with, carried out an act which was reckless and was without regard to due reason and caution.
Okay.
And so if once you establish that, then the offense has been committed. And that is why I think that this decision by the Court of Appeal is most unfair and absurd, and indeed must not stand.
Okay. So until it is overturned, it remains what the situation is. Now, I remember also that there was talk about Big C trying to pay back some monies to the state so that we do not have to even proceed with this at all. On the criminal side of things, the best you can secure is a jail term for the accused persons. Big C was going to give us money. With hindsight on your side now, would you say you should have taken that money and ended the prosecution so that the state gets money, these people walk free?
First, it is not correct that all the state can get in this matter is a conviction or a jail. No. The court can, either in substitution of a jail term or together with a jail term, order the payment of the sum which has been lost in the matter. And the courts of Ghana have done that in numerous cases. this is the very first case in which the court would have had the opportunity of ordering the payment or refund of the amount in question. So the process that we're backing on clearly, was one that was not inconsistent, or was not inconsistent with a recovery of the money. Secondly, it's also important to note that the manner in which the plea bargaining offer was made itself made it unacceptable. The manner in which it came really rendered it unacceptable, because it was made by a party which was no party to the proceedings in Ghana. It was an offer purportedly emanating from BC. BC is not a party to the proceedings in Ghana, had never come to Ghana to accrue any liability in the courts of Ghana. Now, if BC had defaulted on paying the amount of money, which of course we know that they are always likely to default, even in kind of terms of the contract itself, there was a lot of defaults. How was I going to hold any of the accused persons responsible? And how would this sound? How reasonable would it sound that I, as the Attorney General, and I take to terminate prosecution on account of representation made by a party who is no party to the proceedings in question? So clearly, that offer itself was unacceptable. And indeed, when I inquired from the accused persons on whether by that, to say the first accused, so the offer by BC came through the third accused, which is Japa. And then subsequently, the first accused brought a letter purporting to associate himself with the terms of the offer made by the third accused. And he actually stated that he was not opposed to the offer. I found that a little bit ambiguous. So rightly, our office inquired from the first accused whether by that it should be understood as also coming under the plea bargaining act. The first accused said no, he was not doing so. So you see that this whole talk about plea bargaining itself, well, for me, a charade. It was a charade because the accused persons wanted to essentially accept liability, but they didn't want to openly accept liability. And as the Attorney General, if I had accepted that today, the media people would have also been here questioning my integrity. They would have made all sorts of imputations that are taking some money from a company which is not a party to the proceedings and has terminated proceedings, and then subsequently that company did not pay the money. And where would you have left me? So I think that it is important for due process to be followed.
Okay.
This is not the first time that I have been, or I have suffered a setback in my prosecution of cases. Remember the opening cases, there were two setbacks. First was a ruling by the Supreme Court of Ghana regarding a submission of no case, the same submission of no case issue. When the submission of no case of Justice of Dr. Opuni was overruled by the High Court, they filed an application to quash that ruling in the Supreme Court. And strangely, the Supreme Court, by a 3-2 decision, allowed it. Subsequently, I had to go on review, and in all humility, I succeeded, and the prosecution continued. When the prosecution continued, the new trial judge then ordered that we commence the trial de novo, which is that we should start afresh. Again, I was aggrieved, and I had to go all the way to Court of Appeal for a reversal of the decision.
Okay.
The Court of Appeal allowed it. So this is the first time there has been a setback today.
Very well.
I believe that, yes, due process will be followed. The next day or two, we'll file our appeal.
Okay.
And when the appeal is lodged, I'm sure it will be heard, and then the trial can proceed.
Thank you so much for speaking to us, sir.
Right. Thank you very much.
That's Attorney General and Minister for Justice Godfred Yeboah-Dame. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. And talking about the judiciary and the courts, a citizen, Justice Abdullahi, has filed a suit in the Supreme Court, and he is asking for some reliefs. He says that he wants a declaration that on a true and proper interpretation of Articles 2021, 2022, 2023 of the 1992 Constitution, Section 3 of the Police Service Act 1970, Act 350, and Regulations 261, 62, 63, and 64 of the Police Service Regulations, the creation of the Office of Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of operations by the President of the Republic is unconstitutional, null, and void. 2, a further declaration that on a true and proper interpretation of Articles 202, so the articles have been listed, as well as the Police Service Act, the appointment of Commissioner of Police COP Mr. Christian Tete Yohuno as Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of operations by the President of the Republic of Ghana is unconstitutional, null and void. An order restraining Commissioner of Police Mr. Christian Tetteh Yohuno from acting or purporting to act as Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of operations, and a further order restraining the Inspector General of Police or any command under him from accepting, relating to, and or issuing instructions or commands to COP Mr. Christian Tetteh Yohuno in his assumed capacity as Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of operations, and any other further reliefs that the Honorable Court deems fit. So this has to do with the recent appointment of a Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of operations by the President through the Police Council, which announcement was issued a few weeks ago. So this suit is in the name of Justice Abdullahi, bringing it against the Attorney General and the Ghana Police Service. Let's go to some other issues. Hawa?
The Greater Accra Regional Minister, Daniel Titus Glover, has assured that he'll convey the concerns of La youth groups to President Akufo-Addo for a resolution. The coalition of La associations and the Gadangbe Coalition Against Land Injustice took to the streets earlier today to protest what they describe as the immoral looting of land in the Greater Accra region. Addressing journalists, Daniel Titus Glover urged the youth groups to ensure their protest remains peaceful.
All efforts to get this land released to them has proved futile, and the fact that they have no other solution than to pour to the streets to express their dissatisfaction to government. We appeal to them that, look, it's important that as the new regional minister, nothing has come to my table. They should give me that benefit of the doubt so that I can go and speak over to His Excellency the President. They said no. They want to pour to the streets. So we want to take this opportunity to let the public know that government is still interested in dialoguing with the last tool.
Greater Accra Regional Minister Daniel Titus Glover.
This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Up next is business news. And then on Point Blank, my guest is Shamima Muslim. She's with the NDC Communications team. You remember her voice on Eyewitness News as host some years back. She's joining me for dinner. Please be with us.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Ah, go me. Now what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I not change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mind self be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open them.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small.
Go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
Are you a builder, contractor, or homeowner with a passion for quality? Look no further. At Yale, we pride ourselves in trusted security and quality hardware for doors. Visit our showroom on 11th Lane Street in Accra, Ghana, and discover the world of Yale door hardware handles and locks. At Yale, we understand your need for security and the desire for elegance. Our products not only protect your loved ones, but also add a touch of sophistication to your home or business. Whether you're renovating your space or crafting a new masterpiece, Yale is your trusted partner with a history of 180 years of innovation. Come on down to Yale today. Experience the perfect blend of security and style with Yale. Yale, where security meets style.
Choboy! Yeah. We have a new leader in town. Obiarenti. Amanfo. Madam was Sibebre. When him say my baby, maybe more charcoal for whiter teeth. More charcoal. Not only that, maybe lemon. More lemon. Zinc for fresher breath. More zinc. And fluoride for stronger teeth.
Introducing the new President Charcoal Pack with more power with a combination of charcoal and lemon for naturally whiter teeth. Grab yours now. This advert is FDA approved.
Attention, facility management professionals. Get ready for the event of the year, the IFMA Global Africa Conference in Ghana, August 1st and 2nd at the UPSA Auditorium, hosted by the International Facility Management Association's Ghana chapter. This is your chance to meet the world's top FM experts, thought leaders, and innovators. Immerse yourself in groundbreaking keynotes, interactive panels, hands-on workshops, and unmatched networking sessions. Explore the future of facility management in Africa's booming built environments. Don't miss out on the epic gathering of minds and ideas. The IFMA Global Africa Conference, August 1st and 2nd at the UPSA Auditorium. Be there. Proudly sponsored by Fides Group. To register or to sponsor, please call 0558 368 544.
Are you feeling tired after a hard day's work? Have you lost your appetite even for your favorite dish? Viral Blood Tonic is a nutritionally balanced, pleasant-tasting tonic fortified with iron and vitamins to boost your appetite and energy levels for high performance. Viral Blood Tonic, easy to take and good for the whole family. Viral from Danex Iting Starwin PLC. If symptoms persist after 48 hours, consult a physician. This advert is FDA approved.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. City Business News. Be informed.
Time now for City Business News on Eyewitness News. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Details of our stories now. The government says it is committed to ensuring that certain tax policies do not hinder the investment environment. Deputy Finance Minister in charge of Revenue, Dr. Alex Ampabin, emphasizes that this effort aligns with the government growth agenda. He confidently stated that Ghana remains the premier investment destination in the sub-region for offshore investors. Speaking at the Ghana Investments 100 CEOs Breakfast Meeting and launch of the 21st Ghana Club 100 Award, Dr. Ampabin called for strategic collaborations among sector players to maintain and drive economic growth.
The Ministry of Finance is thus actively working to create an enabling environment for businesses. A recent engagement with stakeholders in May 2024 to discuss how we can improve Ghana's business climate and improve the ease of doing business acknowledges investors' concerns about Ghana's complex tax system. In response to our collaborating with the Ghana Revenue Authority to streamline and revise administrative processes associated with tax administration. And this will not only end with administrative processes. We are also looking to assess and revise the entire tax system, including reviewing some of the tax handles in the country.
Deputy Finance Minister in charge of Revenue, Dr. Alex Ampabin. For his part, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Center, Yofi Grant, stressed that Ghana has demonstrated resilience despite economic hardships. Mr. Grant underscored the essence of partnerships to restore growth.
The theme for today's event, Partnership for Prosperity, highlights the importance of collaboration between the public and private sector. At the GIPC, we believe that sustainable economic growth can be fast-tracked and effectively achieved through stronger, meaningful partnerships. Our role is to facilitate these partnerships by providing the necessary support and creating an enabling environment for businesses to thrive in partnership with the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Trade and Industry, not to mention others like the Ministry of Energy and Power. Now, this approach has been particularly successful in the manufacturing and services sectors, which saw a combined growth rate of 8% in the last fiscal year. In the spirit of partnerships, we have strengthened our engagement with both local and foreign-owned businesses through our monitoring and evaluation, aftercare, business development, and our diaspora divisions, as well as through our various flagship events and programs.
That was the Chief Executive of the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Yofi Grant. Importers and exporters have welcomed the recent amendment to the Shippers Authority Bill following its passage into law. The law, according to the traders, is as a positive step toward facilitating smoother international trade operations, enhancing efficiency and reducing bureaucratic hurdles at the various points. The law aims to provide better regulatory clarity and support to the shipping industry, which is crucial for maintaining the competitiveness of Ghana in the global supply chain. Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, Samson Asaki Awingobit, tells Citi Business News these improvements will lead to more streamlined processes, potentially lower costs and improved logistics.
We'll say that the ministry have done well by making it a stepping stone to get the act being amended. As it stands now, the previous Ghana Surface Authority Act wasn't having any teeth to bite, could not properly regulate. And so when we realized that there was a need for an agency empowered by the laws of this country to be able to regulate. And so that if anybody in the maritime industry, anybody is rendering services to an importer and exporter, and he or she feels aggrieved, there should be an institution that is clothed with the laws to be able to do the arbitral for them. However, the law that I saw yesterday has certain issues that we have to raise. Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana was one of the cardinal institutions that was advocating that the Ghana Surface Authority really need the act to be amended for them. That one, I will not run away from it.
Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, Samson Asaki Awingobit. Now, despite a surge in the number of registered and active mobile money accounts in June 2024, mobile money transactions for the same period fell by 24 million. The registered mobile money account hit 69.3 million from the 68.7 million during the period. The active Momo account also went up slightly from 24.1 million to 24.4 million. But what exactly is driving this drop in Momo transactions? The following News Desk report has more.
The total number of mobile money transactions, according to data from the Bank of Ghana, fell to 644 million compared to the 668 million recorded in May 2024. This translates into a fall in the total value of Momo transactions from 234.3 billion cedis to 224 billion Ghana cedis. The contraction in the use of mobile money services in June 2024, in particular, could be attributed to economic and regulatory factors affecting user behavior and market dynamics amidst intensified calls for the scrapping or reduction of the e-levy rate. The Mobile Money Advocacy Group Ghana MOMAG is also attributing the decline to several factors, including e-levy on mobile money transactions, double taxation on income, fraud, robbery and economic hardships. Fearing the collapse of their businesses, the Momo agents are urging authorities and electronic money issuers to review the e-levy policy, enhance security measures and promote economic policies that support the industry.
That was a News Desk report by Nashika Caesar, and that's it for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News. My name is Hawa Idrisu Mustafa. Up next is Point Blank.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Google me. At what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I don't change my car. It be the same ride. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mindset be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open there.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small.
Go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
One of the best decisions you can possibly make at the start of your day is to tune in to the Citi Breakfast Show. Insightful, intriguing, intelligent, and informative. The Citi Breakfast Show offers an attractive alternative to the noisy mishmash of morning radio. Tune in to the Citi Breakfast Show for passionate discussions on issues that matter, and enjoy interviews where duty bearers and decision makers have their feet held to the fire. The Citi Breakfast Show airs from 6:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. every Monday to Friday, only on 97.3 Citi FM.
News. My name is Umaru Sandamado. Tonight on Point Blank, my guest's voice, very unique on radio. Let me let you introduce yourself.
From our studios here
at number 11.
Number 11, Tete Loop. This is Eyewitness News with me, Shamima Muslim, here with Umar Sanda Amadou.
You and Martin are saying,
yes.
People miss you. People miss you. And since we shared the artwork that you were coming on the show, people were excited. I mean, you had, there were two female voices on media that I used to listen to when I was growing up.
Yes.
Yourself and Matilda Santi.
Yes.
PSC voice, powerful questions.
Indeed.
And I came to produce you. I'm happy to be sitting here to interview today.
It was great moments then. Very, very exciting chapter in my life.
I know.
And yeah, I owe a debt of gratitude to this platform. It did elevate me across the length and breadth of this country and even beyond our borders. And I think that I am largely what I am today because of my time here at Citi FM and Metro Television. So greetings to all my fans out there. Thank you for the years of support and encouragement and love. And I'm hoping that in this new chapter that I am evolving into, the same love, the same support, the same encouragement, the same feedback, that helped me to grow in the media is what you would support me with in this new journey. So thank you for having me, Sanda.
Thank you too for joining us and for agreeing to have this conversation with us. So we used to hear your voice on the radio asking all the questions of the duty bearers.
Yes.
And they first of all become politicians before they become duty bearers. You have decided to abandon media for politics. Why?
Well, before I answer your question, let me just say congratulations. Affirmative Action Bill has been passed today.
Really? After
yes.
2 decades?
After 2 or more even, isn't it? So finally, we have an Affirmative Action Bill. It is no longer Equality Bill. I think that there have been a few amendments. So it's the Affirmative Action Gender Equity Bill. So yes, in the coming days, we would we will get the final bill that was passed, and then we'll begin the public education yet again on what to expect. But basically, it's a recognition.
So for those who do not know, when you left media, mainstream media, you went into gender activism development
and media development.
So Alliance of Media, Women in Media,
yes.
You were pushing that agenda a lot. So that's why this one, I believe you've been doing a lot of
I'm excited about it. Yeah, Alma is a member of the coalition, the Affirmative Action Coalition. So we did a lot of development work. But that's my background. I actually worked with Legal Resources Center. I was a director of research and advocacy at the time before I came into the media in 2008.
Go to law school and go and start helping
I know,
people.
I should have been. I worked with Raymond Atugubaye. I should have been a lawyer by now. But the cases, when I learned, they don't stick in my head. I did 1 year of law school.
And you ran away.
I got pregnant and I gave birth and I didn't go again. That was my last girl.
Usman is the one.
No, it was not Usman. It was Hera. My last. She's 4 years now, actually. So when I look, I said, you see, because of you. In fact, today my colleagues came to visit.
Degree. That's
my law degree.
Working in the house causing news trouble.
So yes.
So back to the issue. Why abandon media development advocacy, which you've been doing so well, to go and do politics, which some people deem dirty?
So the logical next step for me in civic advocacy is political activism, because on the political space is where the decisions regarding the distribution of our resources, the prioritizations, that's really where the action takes place, right? On the political sphere. And my logic is, we can talk all we want. We've been doing advocacy work and specifically calling for increasing the numbers of women in our public life for decades. I grew up watching the likes of Angela Jamuna Boaje, the likes of, even there was a DV coalition that had political women who transitioned into politics. Nano Yelita, Betty, Mold Idrisu, Esla Owusu. I think I was about 23 years old when I joined the DV coalition. That was a domestic violence coalition. I had just finished Legon. So I was the youngest in a group of all these activists, and you speak to them today, and they are tired. They are sometimes disappointed at the lack of progress and transformation. There have been gains because in this same space of time, we've broken a number of glass ceilings. So there are some results as a result of the activism, but we've not seen transformation.
So it's one
yet.
thing pushing from the other side, another thing being here and being the guy to sign off on the thing so that it will come into that. So that's where you are now looking
at. The numbers would only increase if the numbers going into the space increases. So even as we are talking about affirmative action, there's got to be the women who are willing and able to put themselves up and through those spaces to occupy the public sector that we are saying we want the numbers to increase in, the public sector that we say we want the numbers to increase in. The only way to increase the numbers is to ensure that more women are actually coming into the political space. And there are women who are interested, but they are not winning elections because they are not having the adequate resources. And so an instrument of affirmative action would largely solve part of the problem, not all of the problem. And so my question is, who are the women that you keep asking to come into to take up politics? Last year, you know it because your wife also was part of this campaign to increase women's participation in local governance, right? After all the work we did, only 4.1% of women were elected into the district assembly. This is local level, where women are the primary users of local services and sometimes the primary providers. Our market, sanitation, our water situations, our refuse situations, food, women are at the heart of the local economy. And so if a district level election is held and nationally we have less than 5% of women representing, that is a big problem.
But we also do know that the population, if you were to divide it into two, women occupy the larger chunk. So what is the disconnect there? Why don't we have the same huge population turning out and producing more of its more women into the political space, into the decision-making space?
It's the systemic barriers to participation. There are barriers, and they are historic, they are structural, they are socio-cultural, they are financial.
So it doesn't even, so it looks normal, but it's not.
It's not.
So a lot of things behind the scenes.
Of course. I mean, just ask the females who participate in politics. Look at the cost of running a campaign today. And yet the women are not the top CEOs. They are not the managers, owners, and managers and owners of top businesses. So women don't own big business. They don't own big capital. And so half of the time when they have to participate in politics, they have to go and seek financing. And anywhere that a woman is going around to look for money in the hands of men, know that sexual harassment would rear its head up. So those are the real barriers that mitigate against women's effective participation in politics.
You decided to enter the room of politics. And in Ghana, you either go right or left.
Yes.
You stood at the doorway, and you've been at the doorway for decades, having engaged this policy. You've interviewed NDC people, you've interviewed MPP people. Why did you decide to go green instead of blue?
Well, let me say that when I was 20 years old, that's when I voted for the first time. I was in my first year at the University of Ghana, first or second year, I think. The first party I ever voted for was NDC and Evans Atta Mills. And largely at that time, my young mind was not really politically active. So I drew largely from my family dynamics because I did grow up in an NDC family. I grew up in 1992. I was 12 years old. It was a 1992 election. My father was involved. My uncles, now my in-law, Alhaji Idris Mama, were at the forefront of politics. So I grew up in an NDC family, but eventually politics didn't become a very common place. So in Legon, I still did have those feelings towards NDC. I did that. I would also say that I have voted for the New Patriotic Party before.
Really?
Yes, I
what
have.
Period?
In the same year that there was a runoff
2008?
In 2000, in the 2000 election, there was a runoff.
Oh, you voted in 2000?
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Yes.
So young. How did you vote in 2000?
I'm old.
Oh.
That's what I'm telling you. I was 20 years in 2000.
Oh, wow.
I voted the first round for males. And in the second round, there was this clamoring for Yeri Sisemu
and Aliu Mahama.
And Kwesi Pratt. I always say that the Uncle Kwesi Pratt also joined that coalition for change. And I was influenced by his decision to go and vote for the NPP. So the second round, I did that.
Interesting. So
yes, I mean.
But then in 2000, when Kufuor was president, you were in media. And then
I wasn't in media.
Oh, 2004.
2008 is when I came into the media.
Oh, not 2004.
Not 2004. 2008 was when I came into the media. At that time, I had already started some punditry work and at TV Africa, whilst I was still doing my development work with Legal Resources Center. So yes, I mean, when I did media, remember NDC they won the 2008 elections. Yeah. So coincidentally, my media work came at the same time that the NDC was in government.
So you were taking on the party you had a soft spot for more than you've taken on the MPP.
Exactly, because when MPP came into power, I was no longer behind the mic.
In 2017.
In 2017, I wasn't behind the mic.
And as of 2008, you had just joined the mic.
I had just joined.
So even if
nobody would say I gave the NDC a free pass.
Yes,
in fact, today, very, very tough. Mm-hmm. And I'm very proud about that because I have deep principles and I'm guided by some ethics and integrity. I wasn't going to use the power. I didn't get up every day and said I'm coming to execute an agenda against or for a party, even though there were moments, especially there were moments where there were real attacks. And I'll tell you the difference between a tolerant human being and an intolerant human being. You did say that we have experienced all of these political parties. Mm-hmm. There was a moment that I did a program and there was a major fight with an NDC representative. One of the people who told me to do my work was Madam Lordina Mahama.
Interesting.
In similar situations, I was criticized by members of the NPP. It led to even some opportunities I was supposed to be on as a result being taken away from me. These are stories I will tell later. So I'm saying that I have come face to face and personally with the nature and the conduct and the character of individuals within these two major political parties. So when it got to the time that I had to make a decision on which platform to be on,
was it easy?
It was easy. It was easy and I was out of the media. That's a very operative word. Mm-hmm. In the years that I was in the media, it was NDC. I left the media, NPP came into power, and I was out of the media doing my development work. And you've observed the train of that. Mm-hmm. I took a party card, the NDC card, only after I had left the media in the period of the NDC. So I am an official card-bearing member of the NDC.
At the time Akufo-Addo was president?
Yes, at the time he was president.
Now, was it because of families NDC, let me also join NDC, or you did a comparative analysis and decided, listen, I've done these two parties, I think this is the best one for me?
So, I mean, if you're an adult and you evolve and you have, a collective of experiences, you have to have a reflection on what your ideals are and which party aligns more with your foundational ideals. And for me, social democracy, even though we say that political ideology, the lines of political ideology have dimmed over the time, but foundationally, that is the ideal of the party, a property owning democracy and a social democratic society. If you look at where you and I come from, the families we have come from, but for opportunity, but for education, we will not be sitting here today. If I look back at WA and see my sisters, my brothers, where the family if you were hungry and you went into a home, you would get food to eat, because however scarce a resource was, the philosophy would be to ensure that everybody in the family gets a bit of it.
Everybody gets some.
Everybody would. So fundamentally, I am not so aligned to a liberal democratic, that is very capitalist driven, that is very property owning driven. Those are the reasons why we are seeing the kinds of profligacy that we are seeing today under the new patriotic government.
You've talked about blurry lines, and the lines are very blurry indeed. The argument has been made by the NPP folks that they have helped the masses even more than the NDC, which is supposed to be the mass party. So, under Kufuor, Metro Mass Bus for school children, and Nana Akufo-Addo, school feeding for everybody in your area where you come from. He's constructing dams for people to go and use for their farming and all of those. I don't know. So they said that they have done more social intervention programs, and that's why you should consider them and not the NDC.
The antecedents of the NPP that truncated Ghana's fast-track development when they started the 1966 coup, when Nkrumah was already on his way of transforming this country. They are the ones to be blamed for introducing this nation into an era of military interventions. In fact, people, and then this is not to justify military interventions. If you come to the PNDC, NDC era, His Excellency, the late Jerry John Rawlings, is actually the most stabilizing force in Ghana's history. Because after that PNDC era, which transitioned into a democracy, the Fourth Republic, we are still in that Fourth Republic. There were incursions, but a stability was ensured as a result of that era. It is the same PNDC, NDC that saw the promulgation of the 1992 Constitution. The foundation of all social policies are in that 1992 Constitution. The NPP sat out of that 1992 elections, as you know. They sat out of the development conversations of that elections. Everything that is the basis of our education, the basis of our health, the basis of our social services and protection draws from the 1992 Constitution. It is that Constitution that said that we are going to implement a free compulsory universal education. From that Constitution, a Get Fund program. What the most transformative policy we have had for our educational sector is the Get Fund program. So when MPP quickly always comes in, and MPP is the one that has given the tone, because remember, PNDC, NDC were the same family stock. It was the NPP that wanted power. So they are the ones who have actually introduced the tonality to our politics. The tonality that says, damn everything that your opponent has done, because when you wanted power, because NDC was in power for a long time before you came to demand, power from the people. And the tone of their campaign is what sets the tone where every political party during election must condemn everything that their opponent does, because that is exactly what the New Patriotic did in the time of Jerry John Rawlings in the first 8 years of the democracy. So you cannot want to be rewarded or acknowledged for things you do when you fail to acknowledge the foundations on which you built upon.
Let's come to today. Nana Akufo-Addo has been president 7 years, going into his 8th year. We've seen John Mahama be president for 4 years, been vice president for another 4 years. Why should we go back to the John Mahama that Ghanaians rejected by 1 million votes in 2016? What has changed in that John Mahama for which reason Ghanaians should look at him again?
In fact, it is what hasn't changed, which is the reason why Ghanaians must give him a renewed mandate. Because the character of a man, when somebody shows you who they are, you believe them. The character of the man that we hadn't changed. But the propaganda against him was very severe. So no, John Mahama hasn't changed. He is still the trusted leader He's still the honest leader He is still the experienced pair of hands that In that 4 years that you reference, you saw the development outcomes that we saw in this country, because people say that what can he come and do in 4 years? In the 4 years of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama's administration, we saw a Terminal 3 airport. In the 4 years of his administration, arguably one of the best airports in West Africa, we saw the Atuabo gas processing plant. $300 million is what that plant saves us annually. In the 4 years that he was in power, he managed to solve a problem that kept him up at night, a problem that some of us criticized what we said, the slow response. But he had a vision, and today I understand exactly what he's doing, because they tell us that, oh, he made Ghanaians stay in darkness for 4 years. Did he solve the problem? Nana Akufo-Addo came to power telling us that he was going to change Ghana from a Gadgetsburg economy to what? An import-led one. Where are we today? We are back to a very distant hole. From the promised land, we have been taken back to the times of Pharaoh, where hardships is the order of the day. In the 8 years that they have had, they have not been able to achieve their goal of changing Ghana from a Gadgetsburg economy. They've not been able to achieve changing Ghana from taxation to production. In fact, they are taxing everybody to their graves. Unprecedented in this country, for the first time, that we are running a debt exchange program because of the intransigence of the current administration. They will listen to nobody, even when the signs were so clear. When neutrals, so-called neutrals, they call them so-called neutrals, but these same neutral voices, they advised you, they admonished you, they even threatened you sometimes that we were on a fast spiral to nowhere because of the nature of borrowing. Today, public debt stands as what? 742 billion cedis, 70.1% debt to GDP ratio. When this JM did 50.6%, after borrowing 44 million Ghana cedis, people had problems with it. And look at all that he did. We are speaking about the Bank of Ghana Hospital, which was done under the same 4 years of his administration. We are speaking about the Tamale International Airport, which allowed for old people not to make the perilous journey to Accra to be able to travel to Hajj. All these major infrastructural projects, the e-blocks, the educational interventions were done under the watch of John Dramani Mahama, under his watch. Yes, there were some infractions, even against journalists, which were acknowledged. There were challenges which were acknowledged. The character of a leader is tested in times of trials and their ability to accept responsibility. Nana Bawumia, especially Dr. Bawumia, refuses to accept any responsibility at all for the failings of this government. He rather removes himself, showing he's not a real team player, and blames everybody other than himself. The real reason why we were told he was chosen to be the economic messiah is the same reason he doesn't want to address these issues. So the honesty that JM presents, the trustworthiness that he presents, the integrity that he presents, that even Afrobarometer in comparison would say that Nana Akufo-Addo's government and himself has shown increasing high-handedness and stifling media freedoms and eroding accountability institutions. Not my words, Afrobarometer.
Well.
These are the words. Okay. These are the reasons why we cannot afford to give the NPP a mandate over a crisis that they have created. The hardships are untold, the corruption is stark, the nepotism is real. People within the party themselves are upset, disappointed. The moral voices feel so betrayed and yet fearful to speak out as a result of what is happening in this administration. A safer pair of hands is His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. He will come, he would rescue, he will reset, he will throw sunlight on the real state of our economy. But people should assess the real state of their personal economies, the state of their money, their investments, their savings, their borrowing, and even their incomes and their employment, the state of their health and access to health, of their education, the state of pensions. These are real. You cannot play propaganda with it. So when we say people should look within their personal economy and make a value decision, this is exactly what we are calling upon.
Thank you so much.
I'm so sorry, there's no time.
Fine, we'll do this again. And for those who are listening, they may think you are hosting Eyewitness. Shamima's voice of old is the same Shamima's voice. But she's today wearing red, black, and
I am
green.
proudly JMNDC. And please come on board the change train. Please come on board the change train.
Thank you.
I hope, Sandra, that you'll be voting for John Dramani. Media men, we vote.
Let's
and we understand exactly what is happening.
Let's
so please,
you convince
change
my
is eminent.
Convince me behind
change is eminent. Come on board the change train. Let's reset this country. Thank you for your kind attention, all of you.
Thank you so much. Shamima Muslim there. She almost took over the show as a host.
There's no time, so I had to say what I had to say.
I had to say thank you. That's Shamima Muslim. Al Hassan. Member, so you are deputy communications person for the Zongo caucus of NDC.
Yes,
Deputy communication.
Deputy comms. Yes, there's a directorate.
Okay,
so,
a member of the national. Apology. I think on our artwork we made that mishap. Thank you so much for joining us, Shams.
Thank you.
Eyewitness News will be back tomorrow at 17:30 GMT. My name is Umaru Sandamado. It's been great coming your way. We'll be back tomorrow. My production tonight was led by Kobna Wilson, Beverly London, and Sami Wiafi. Technical support from Emmanuel Lati and Edwin Kwakofi helped us with the new media side of things. We'll be back tomorrow. Thank you. Good night.